The Indian Show. The next day, Charles brought Squanto a soft black hat and a long coat. "Put these on," he said. "Today we go to see Captain Weymouth. We'll walk over and have a look at London on the way." Squanto put on the hat and coat. He and Charles went out together. A wind was blowing and the day was cold. Charles pulled his hat down and turned up his coat collar. Squanto did the same. "Watch your feet," said Charles, as Squanto stepped in a puddle. It was hard for Squanto to watch his feet. There was so much to see on every side. He looked at every building they passed. Charles told him which buildings were homes and which were shops or churches. Church bells were ringing. "Oh, here!" said Squanto. It was like wonderful music. There were crowds of people on every street. Horses and carriages went by. Children and dogs ran after the carriages. "Here is the river we sailed up yesterday, the River Thames," said Charles. "Look ahead, here is London Bridge." The bridge was like a long street built across the river. On each side of it were houses and shops. Some were new, some were very old. "People live here," said Charles. "How would you like to live on London Bridge?" Squanto thought it would be strange to live on a bridge. He did not think he would like to live in a house with the river running under it. They walked along the River Thames. They came to the inn where Captain Weymouth was staying. The captain was glad to see them. "Everyone knows we are back from America," he said. "They know we have brought an Indian with us. Everyone wants to see him, and I have a plan." The captain told them his plan. He would rent a hall in the middle of London. In the hall, he would build an Indian house. About this house, he would put bows, arrows, and a canoe that had been brought from the New World. "Squanto will sit in front of the house," said Captain Weymouth. "People will pay to come in and look at a real Indian from the New World." "Do you understand, Squanto?" asked Charles. "Will you do it?" Squanto nodded, even though he did not understand very well. By the next week, Captain Weymouth had the hall ready. There were bows and arrows on the walls. In a corner, someone had built an Indian house of sticks and straw. There was an Indian canoe beside the house. In front of the house sat Squanto. He was dressed in deerskins with a band of feathers around his head. There were beads around his neck. His face was painted red and yellow. There were black rings painted around his eyes. A man stood in the street outside. He rang a bell and shouted, "See the Indian show! Come one, come all! See the real Indian from the New World!" People paid their money to come into the hall. They looked at Squanto, and he looked at them. "See the wild Indian," he heard them say. "Doesn't he look fierce?" At first, Squanto felt proud and important. He liked to think that so many people in London wanted to see him. But after a while, he grew tired of sitting in the hall day after day. When children came to see him, they were afraid. Some of them looked at his painted face and began to cry. Squanto liked the children. He wanted to be their friend. It made him sad to think that they were afraid of him. Charles saw that Squanto was not happy. "I know how you feel," he said. "I wouldn't like it either. But the captain is going away soon, and that will put an end to the Indian show." Squanto was glad when the Indian show was over. He liked to be at home with Charles and his mother. The big old house was full of wonderful things. He liked to watch the clock and listen to it tick. He thought there must be a little man inside it who made the hands go around. He liked to look at books with pictures in them. Even the pots and pans in the kitchen were wonderful to him. Now he was used to his soft bed. He liked to sleep in it, and he liked the food in Mistress Robin's house, the roasted meats, the jelly tarts, the apple pies, and the puddings made of cream and chestnuts. Mistress Robins was kind to him. He wanted to do something for her. One day, he saw a fine brown bird in the yard next door. He ran after it and caught it. He brought it to the door and called Mistress Robins. "Oh, see," he said, and he bowed low. "I give bird for you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am." "Where did you get that bird?" asked Mistress Robins. He pointed next door. "Oh, Squanto," she said, "that is one of Mistress Dingle's chickens. You must take it back and tell her you are sorry." Squanto took the chicken back to Mistress Dingle. "I sorry," he said. Mistress Dingle laughed. "I know you didn't mean any harm." Squanto laughed too. He was happy that the people in London were so kind to him. He was happy to be in the land of the white men.